Welcome back to another episode of the Arc Switch Survival Guide. So, as many of you know, our raft is stuck. We have an entire base built on a raft, and the raft is stuck on the beach in the swamp. This is about the last place I wanted to get stuck, and for a few episodes we've just had to live in the swamp and have our base of operations there. But I finally figured out how to get a raft unstuck and fix a stuck raft on Arc. So today I'm going to show you how to do that, and we're also going to move the raft base close to the redwood forest and make a bunch of preparations to tame an Argent Avis. Now, in another episode or two, we are actually going to tame an Argent, and we're going to go after a very high-level, dangerous Argent Avis up here on the mountain in the middle of the redwoods. So be sure to watch the rest of this episode, and we'll tell you a little bit about that too. So this episode is going to be a bit of a guide because I'm going to explain how I got my raft loose, which I didn't happen to record, but I will tell you all the steps that I tried and a lot of troubleshooting options to get a raft that is stuck on Arc loose and free from the shore. So that should be really helpful, but also as I'm doing that, this is going to be a Let's Play video where I am just going to sail through the dangerous swamp now that my raft is actually free. So I'll be explaining what I did and just sailing along throughout the rest of this episode, and it'll be a little bit longer of an episode, but you know, it's good to have some Let's Plays in there too, and I'm going to try to schedule this premiere later in the evening and hopefully be able to chat with you guys while this is premiering. So the first thing I'm doing here, just to let you know, is I'm sailing through the swamp towards the redwood forest where I want to park my base, and that's going to allow me to get close enough to the Argents that I should be able to park it at the base of the redwood forest and lure an Argent down from the mountain in the middle of the redwoods, which is where they're found. And I'm also going to just kind of chop my way through all the deadly stuff and trees that are in my way. But while I'm doing that, I'm getting a lot of wood and other materials that I need in order to be able to build the trap I'm going to use for an Argent. I'm also getting tons of prime meat from all the big dangerous animals that I'm killing along the way, and I'm just banking all of that into the refrigerator on board my raft. So this should be a very helpful way to collect all the stuff that I need and prepare to tame an Argent. So, back to my explanation of how I actually got this raft out of here, which probably quite a few of you are just watching this video to find that out. So now that you know what's going on in the video, let me explain how I actually got this raft loose, because hopefully some of these tips will be very helpful in case you get your raft stuck. So the first time I got a raft stuck was the very first raft that I built. It was a wooden taming raft, and right at the very beginning of the game, I was taking it out of the little inlet that it was living in and took it across some shallow areas, and it got totally stuck. Now, I didn't know what the problem was, but I tried a bunch of stuff, and everywhere I would go, it would actually either move backwards or it couldn't turn certain directions. I mean, everything about its movement was just not doing what I told it to. Finally, I figured out that I actually designed it so the rudder was sticking out just a tiny bit past the wall, and if one of my dinosaurs got to where it was blocking the rudder, and I think anything that's blocking the rudder can do this, as long as the rudder of your raft is blocked, you actually have trouble maneuvering, and it can keep you from moving at all, or it can make you only go in one direction. So if your raft moves but not the way you tell it to, try making sure that the rudder is clear, and that could actually solve some issues. There was another time when I was going up on a shallow beach to make sure that I was parked really safe from whales, and my raft got stuck there too. So I tried moving the raft around. I stopped moving and then turned it completely in the opposite direction. You can turn a lot sharper if you actually stop the raft from moving. And I sort of wiggled it around a little bit and finally somehow dislodged it from where it was stuck. And another thing that can actually get your raft stuck is if there is some kind of like a boulder or a rock or something underneath the raft. So sometimes if you turn it a bunch, you'll actually be able to see something down there, like a tree or a rock that you can actually harvest, and once you've got that dislodged, your raft can move again. Now I've heard some people have somehow been stuck on a rock that's about 10 feet away from the raft, so sometimes just demolishing every rock and tree nearby can also dislodge your raft. So that's why on this guide, the entire area around my raft in the swamp was totally clear. It also helped me see if anything was attacking me, because one of the other dangerous things about the swamp is the trees block your view, so you don't see when a giant crocodile is coming at you. Now another thing you can do if you get stuck is just relog and see if that just happens to load things a little bit differently, and sometimes that can get your raft loose, especially if you're facing towards deeper water and then you log out and back in. So that may actually be enough to dislodge your raft right there. Oh man, that is some crazy stuff going on over there. So it looks like there's a bunch of Dimorphodons swarming something, and whoa, did you see that? That was a Caprocious, I think is how you pronounce it. Those things are crazy. They can jump really far and grab stuff, which is once again another reason I do not like living in the swamp. But as you can see, we actually have redwood trees in the background, so we're almost to our destination. We just have to cut through quite a few more trees to get there. And a lot of dangerous stuff like that giant snake that's attacking me. So, good thing I've got a whole raft fortress here. So back to troubleshooting. Now, if you've logged out, logged back in, moved around your raft a whole bunch, and none of those things work, another thing you can sometimes do is if your raft is able to move at all, and it's not just turning in place, but it has a little bit of motion, sometimes if you start your raft moving towards the deeper water and then jump off, it will actually carry just enough momentum as you're jumping off of it to slide forward into deeper water and get itself dislodged. Now, you can also try hopping on and off the raft a whole bunch of times, even if it's not moving, and I've heard that sometimes can get the raft loose too. So there's just a whole lot of different things you can try that a lot of people have had it work. Now, what actually worked for me, I would highly recommend using only as an absolute last resort. If nothing else can get your raft loose, you can try this admin command that will probably dislodge your raft, but there is also a chance it could fall through the world and your entire base and you could all sink to your deaths. So it is a much more risky thing, and it's definitely something you should do only as a last resort. If you're basically to the point where you would rather risk losing your whole base than have it stuck where it is, which in this case, since I had a nice castle and that sank into the swamp, it was not a place I wanted my raft to stay, so it was worth a risk for me. So, I'll teach you a little bit about how to use admin commands on Switch, and I'm still planning to try to do a whole episode and guide on how to use admin commands. I just have not gotten a chance yet. I've been really busy. So for now, before I make a full guide on admin commands or console commands on Ark, I'll just give you a quick explanation so you can get your raft unstuck if you need to. Now, if you're playing Ark on Switch, what you want to do is pause the game and press L1, R1, X, and Y all at the same time. So top, right, and left bumpers and X and Y. You just push them down all at the same time and it should open up the admin command window. And that's going to give you a little box you can type in and an admin command button. Now, if you're playing on Xbox, it'll be the same thing, just press LB, RB, X, and Y. For PS4, it's L1, R1, triangle, and square. And for PC, you just hit the tab key. And any of those will open up the admin command window, and that will actually allow you to type in commands. Now, this is an extremely dangerous thing to do. You could lose your whole raft and anything built on it, and any dinosaurs sitting on it, including yourself. So be really careful when you do this. I tested this out on a dummy raft and ended up being able to sail right through any hills, walls, mountains, but when I took just a few steps too far into a mountain, I sailed right over the edge of the water and fell into a bottomless abyss into my death. So it was pretty bad. I did that off camera. I kind of wish I was recording it, but oh well. So definitely be really careful if you are using this command. This is the ghost command, and if you use this when you're not on your raft, you can actually fall through the world. So I'm also going to teach you the fly command just in case that happens. So if you get into the box and you type fly, F-L-Y, and hit the admin command button, you can suddenly be able to fly. And you can cancel that by typing walk and doing the same thing, admin command again, and that will stop you from flying. So if you use the ghost command and end up falling to your death through the world, definitely use that fly to get yourself back up, because it's really easy to fall through the world and just go down into a bottomless pit. So with that in mind, if you want to get your raft out, you first want to point it as far towards deep water as you possibly can, and make sure that there's no hills or anything that you're running into, because if you go too far from the water, the game thinks you've sailed right over the edge of the world and you just die. So point towards the water, get on the raft, and actually use the rudder to where you're steering the raft, turn it towards deep water, and then in the admin command box, type in ghost, G-H-O-S-T, and when you hit admin command, it's actually going to allow your raft to pass right through terrain and rocks and other objects, and you'll just slide right through anything, and hopefully right into deeper water and through whatever your raft is stuck on that's keeping you from moving. So I would recommend only taking a couple tiny steps as soon as you see that raft start to move and it looks like it's dislodged. Immediately log out of your game and log back in, because if you hop off your raft, Ghost can be really weird and glitchy, and it's really likely you'll end up falling through something and dying. So be incredibly careful when you're using that command. But that is what worked for me. I used the ghost command, went just a few inches past whatever was keeping me stuck, and as soon as I got out of that, I immediately logged out and logged back in, and my whole raft base was free and able to sail again. So I hope that helps some of you who actually get your rafts stuck. And, let me know if you guys have any questions or if that doesn't work for you in the comments, and I'll see what I can figure out. But thankfully, we finally got our raft free and we can move on with our Ark adventure. Now, whether you actually use admin commands or not is really a matter of personal preference for you. A lot of people consider admin commands to be cheating because there are some admin commands that are pretty much straight up cheats. You can just turn on God mode and be invincible, but for some people they might enjoy their game a little better if they just can play around. Ark can be a total sandbox and just be something fun that you do to interact with dinosaurs, or you can have it be a full survival game like I like to do and have everything set the way it's meant to be. But for me, I like to have all the defaults set, and I only really use admin commands to fix a glitch in the game itself, like when my raft got stuck on the beach. That should not have actually happened. That was just a glitch, and I didn't want to pay the price by losing my entire home just because there was some weird little glitch in the terrain. And another thing that I often will do is there are times when a dinosaur will just suddenly disappear. There's no reason it should have. It didn't die. It's just I was sitting in the middle of my base 1 minute, and then I logged out and logged back in, and it just wasn't there when I got back. And I've had a couple of people comment that's happened to them before too. So I'm actually going to give a full guide on how to summon in a dinosaur to replace the one you lost if that ever happens to you. So that should be pretty helpful. We'll do that later on. And I don't know if you remember, but I tamed a bright red velociraptor several episodes ago, and it just suddenly disappeared from the middle of my base one day, so I am going to teach you how to summon him back while I'm doing that myself. But, I just haven't quite gotten around to that. Things have been pretty busy. I actually do professional web design on the side, and I'm working on a website right now, which has taken up a lot of my time. I also want to say sorry for not getting as many ARC guides out there as I usually do. I'm just a little bit behind on stuff because of that. Okay, so now that we've finally finished explaining how to get this raft unstuck and all of the ways to troubleshoot a stuck raft, we are finally here at our destination in the swamp. Now, this is right below the redwood forest. You can see it pretty well in the background here, and this is a pretty nice clearing. There's a little bit of ground here, and once I've killed everything around with my Plant X turrets, then we should have a pretty clear area where I can get an Argent to chase me down to my raft base and just get it stuck inside the base. So I'll do some more preparations for taming that Argent in this episode, and in the next episode I'll actually build a trap to trap the Argent in my base and try to bring one down from the mountains, which should be really dangerous and pretty exciting, probably much more exciting than this episode was. But the first thing I need to do is clear out and prepare this area for actually taming that Argent, and I'm going to need a lot of empty space so I can bring it down low and take it very level into the trap. Now, even though my Tapehara doesn't really harvest wood, it's still pretty effective for chopping down trees just to get them out of the way, and I think that'll be enough space. Now we have a pretty good clear area, and I should be able to fly and get the Argent to chase me through this clearing right towards the opening on this base, and I'll move it around a little bit to position it better, but that should actually give me enough space to do what I need to do. Now, the next thing I want to do is actually make some Argent Avis kibble. And since I have the new Ark Homestead update on PC, which is what I'm playing this on, every now and then people ask me, oh my gosh, how did you get your graphics so good? I explain every now and then that I actually record the Ark Switch guide on PC because the graphics are just nowhere near the quality you need for YouTube if you actually record from Switch. So since I've got the Homestead update, my kibble system is totally different than yours now. And in my opinion, it is much, much better now. Now you can make certain types of kibble that are used to tame lots of different dinosaurs instead of having to make a specific one just for Argents. But I will teach you how to make that on Switch too in just a minute. But the first thing I need right now to do is jump over to my sap tap outpost, which is right next to where I happen to park my raft, and I'm grabbing some tree sap because I need that to make the kibble that Argent Avis are going to eat using the new kibble system. So I've got a bunch of tree sap, and that should be enough to make quite a few kibbles, and I'm going to actually cook a bunch of Argent Avis kibbles for you guys. And I'm actually going to explain how to get kibble on Ark Switch that can be used to tame Argent Avis. But if you want to make the superior kibble that we are going to make in this episode to tame an Argent with the new kibble system, I've got an entire guide on all the recipes for every kibble and every dinosaur that eats those kibbles using the new Ark Homestead update. So be sure to check the link in the description for a very extensive and thorough guide on how to make all of the new kibbles with the new S Plus update. But while I'm making my kibble, I'm going to teach you guys on Switch how to make kibble on Switch to tame an Argent Avis using the old recipe. All of you on Switch are going to have a hard time even finding this recipe, but what you need to tame an Argent Avis is the Stegosaur Kibble, which is made using 1 Stegosaur egg, 1 citronal or lemon, 1 prime meat jerky, 2 mejoberries, 3 fiber, and 1 water. And if you cook all of that together in a cooking pot, and of course the water is just put in a canteen water skin water jar while you're cooking it, then that's going to make you 1 stego egg kibble, and that's what most of you guys are going to be using to Tame and Argent Avis if you're still on Arc Switch, up until they actually give you the Kibble rework system, which I'm sure will be coming eventually. Now, I just put all the ingredients for superior Kibble into the cooking pot, and now I've just got to fill up my canteen with some water, which I forgot. I often do that while cooking. And once I get that in the pot, we'll just let that cook on up, and we are just going to make all of the superior kibbles that we have material for right now. Now, I've probably got some more, ooh, almost caught myself on fire. I've probably got some more Tapehara eggs back at my main base because those Tapeharas I have lay a lot of eggs, so if I run out during the tame, I can probably get some more of that. But I've also made a whole bunch of trank arrows, tranquilizer darts, narcotics, and I've got a whole bunch of biotoxin in the refrigerator, and that's all ready to go for when I go tame an Argent. I've also made a bunch of stimulants for my dinosaur, so if it runs out of stamina in the air above the redwood forest, I don't have to worry about it getting tired and falling out of the trees, because that is pretty much imminent doom. So after a little while, we've finished cooking up 5 kibbles, and I may make some more before I go on my quest, we'll see. And we've got an entire refrigerator full of prime meat, which will be very helpful if we run out of kibble. So I'm sorry if this episode was a little bit weird and slow. I usually do focused guides on this channel, but this has been more of just a let's play episode. But hopefully the next episode will be much more interesting, because we are going to fly up to the crazy dangerous mountain in the middle of the redwoods and see if we can get a really high level Argent to chase us all the way down to our base where we might be able to trap it. So this should be quite interesting and much more fun next time. But I hope you enjoyed this episode anyway. If you did, please like this video and subscribe to our channel, and be sure notifications are enabled because we're going to have a much more interesting episode coming very soon. We'll see you next time. Thanks so much for watching this video from the Ark Survival Guide. If you enjoyed it or found it helpful, please like this video and subscribe to our channel so we can bring you more great guides like this one. Ark is an amazing game, but there is so much to learn before you can really enjoy it. We are dedicated to bringing you high-quality guides, tutorials, and Let's Play videos that are fun, helpful, clean, and suitable for the entire family. There's a tutorial in this series for everything we have done so far in this video. Check out these playlists for more episodes from this series and other guides to help you enjoy your journey on Ark.